Every city has a store that feels like more than just a store. A place you remember going to as a kid, or dragging a date to, or just killing an afternoon when you had nowhere else to be. In St. Louis, for a lot of people, the Nordstrom and the St. Louis Galleria was that place. And by summer 2025, it was all gone. Why hello there, friends. Today we're taking a deep dive into the Nordstrom in St. Louis Galleria Mall. But first, before we get into what it looks like today, we have to go back to June 23rd, 2025. I got the news the same way most people did. A headline. Nordstrom was closing its St. Louis Galleria location. The lease was ending, and they weren't renewing, and something else was ready to take its spot. Nordstrom confirmed the closure in a statement. Quote, "We've made the decision to close our St. Louis Galleria store, located at 1453 St. Louis Galleria in St. Louis, Missouri." End quote. They said they believe they'd be better able to serve customers in the area through surrounding stores and digital channels. Translation for us, that math just didn't work out anymore. Employees inside the store attributed the closure to low revenue and the fact that the building was already leased. And when your lease is up and the numbers aren't there to justify renewing, you have to leave. It's that simple and that brutal. Now, before I go any further, a brief history, because this building didn't just appear out of nowhere. The Nordstrom at the Galleria opened on September 23rd, 2011, built on the site of a demolished Lord & Taylor store that had closed back in 2006. That anchor position sat empty for a full 5 years before Nordstrom finally moved in. It was a big deal when it opened. The store was 144,000 square feet across 2 levels, and it featured designer boutiques for many brands and luxury items, things you genuinely couldn't find anywhere else in the St. Louis market at the time. Over 1,500 guests attended the pre-opening event, and the store raised more than $110,000 for local charities on opening night alone. That pre-opening event, the sense of occasion, that was the Galleria in 2011. The mall was riding high, and for 14 years it delivered. Personal stylists, a tailor shop, the cafe bistro, the espresso bar. It wasn't just an ordinary department store. It was a different experience. For me as well, I've never seen a department store that had all those amenities before under one roof. I came here right after the announcement, specifically just to capture this. I never knew you could get lemonade at Nordstrom. The last normal version of this store, before the store closing banners went up, before things started getting picked over, boxed up, and moved away, before all the energy had shifted. Fast forward to the final weeks of summer 2025. By now, the closing sale had been in full swing for a while, and the vibe completely different. Well, I shouldn't necessarily call it a closing sale, because while there were some discounts, much of the merchandise was just simply being boxed up and shipped elsewhere. But even so, there's something deeply strange about the closure of a store like this. On one hand, while the deals could be very real, things are marked down, some people are happy about that, God bless their soul, but on the other hand, the store is hollowing out in real time. Every time someone walked out with a bag, that was one fewer thing on the shelf, and you could just watch it disappear. There was one longtime shopper who came in on those final weeks. She described it perfectly. She had said, quote, "They weren't restocking the merchandise the way that they used to. The handwriting was on the wall, but you could still hope it wouldn't happen," end quote. And that's exactly it. That hope. Even when you know it's over, you still hope. The cosmetic counters were going dark. The brand reps had already started pulling out. The shoe department was a shell of its former self. The design floor upstairs, mostly empty. The restaurant upstairs, completely closed and unrecognizable. And it wasn't just happening here in isolation. The broader story of the Galleria was playing out alongside it. In the months prior, the mall had already started to see a string of closures, like Forever 21, and while newer arrivals like JD Sports and Barnes & Noble were moving in, the mall was trying to reinvent itself. Whether it wanted to or not, it kind of just had to, with the changing shifts. There were also real concerns about safety. In July of 2025, police arrested a man accused of firing a gun during a domestic dispute in the mall's parking lot. While thankfully nobody was injured, that kind of incident doesn't stay quiet, and it doesn't help a struggling anchor store when it's deciding whether or not to stay around. None of these factors alone had killed the Nordstrom. It was an accumulation of them all put together. The lease timing, the revenue, the shifting landscape of it all, e-commerce, you name it, all the excuses. Nordstrom still had their West County location, only about 10 minutes away, so they weren't necessarily abandoning St. Louis, they were just consolidating. But for people who lived near the Galleria and or grew up going here, who made this their Nordstrom, that distinction didn't really mean much. Their store was closing. And then we transition to August 24th, 2025, the final day of operation. While many of our calendars were spilling out the phrase, "Summer is ending soon," for many of us here in St. Louis, that was also meaning the end of Nordstrom. Okay, this is the part I was most excited to share with you all. Because what happened in September 2025 is I was scrolling around Facebook Marketplace of all things and saw that there was a weeks-long fixture auction going on in the Nordstrom. And that gave us the unique opportunity to see parts of the store that the public had never seen before. When a store like this closes, everything has to go. I mean, everything. The display cases, clothing racks, mannequins, lighting systems, mirrors, shelving, all of it. And those that didn't get shipped off to other stores got auctioned off. And the auction company came in, staged it, opened the doors, and let everyone rummage through. Walking through the store at this stage is unlike anything you've probably ever experienced as a regular shopper. The selling floor was stripped of everything that made it feel like a Nordstrom. There was no music, no merchandise, not even any staff. Pretty much just the raw bones of a 144,000 square foot building with some fixtures thrown in. But what was even more fascinating was getting back here, behind the scenes. The spaces that the customers weren't supposed to see. The stock rooms stacked floor to ceiling where merchandise once lived before hitting the floor. The employee break rooms, the service hallways, everything. Some of these fixtures had been in the store since day one, since that September 2011 opening. They held everything, from everyday basics. Now, they were going to other stores, other businesses, just other hands in general. The physical stuff that made up Nordstrom scattering across the region. Walking those 2 floors, completely empty, you get a real sense of the scale of what this place was. 2 full levels. That was a significant building, and for the first time without the merchandise and the crowds, and the carefully curated experience masking it, you could just see the space for what it was. It was really impressive. And as I alluded to, something else was ready to take this Nordstrom space. What's coming in is something called Dick's House of Sport, a large format experimental retail concept from Dick's Sporting Goods. Originally launched in New York in 2021, it's fundamentally a different kind of store than you'll usually find. You'll get a turf field, a track, a rock climbing wall, a golf simulator, hitting bays, batting cages, yoga studios, and equipment services. They said the shell of the building will largely stay the same, but nothing inside. Every trace of what Nordstrom was gets replaced. I have complicated feelings about this. On one hand, Dick's House of Sport is genuinely a cool concept. It's experimental, which is what malls kind of need to survive at the moment. You can't browse a climbing wall on Amazon. You can't try a golf simulator through your phone. That kind of thing gives people a reason to physically show up, and that's valuable for the mall ecosystem. On the other hand, this was Nordstrom. This was a department store with 14 years of service, 1,000 memories baked into its walls, a real anchor identity for this part of the region. Watching it get gutted and rebuilt into something completely different is jarring, even when you know it's probably the right move. The retail world changes. It always has changed, throughout the years, decades to come. The space that Nordstrom occupied was itself built on the bones of Lord & Taylor. Before that, the whole mall was built on the site of an earlier shopping center. Layers on layers on layers. Nothing in the retail landscape is permanent, but that doesn't make it any less worth documenting. And that is what I live for.